What's up, people? Quick video. Lighting shit as always, but I have 2-month-old twin babies, and my free time, sleep time, all that's pretty much non-existent. But I had a couple minutes, so I figured I'd knock out a video. So what we have here are two GEC 77 Barlows. The 77 is the 3 3/4 closed Barlow knife. They also have the 15 Barlow and a 14 Barlow now. The 15 is like 3.5, and the 14 is smaller than that. I can't remember. The 15 seems to be the most popular one. I actually prefer the 77. In traditional knives, I look at, my sweet spot is pretty much 3 3/4 to 4 inch. For the Barlow, it's pretty much a work knife. I like the little extra bit of blade and a little extra bit of handle length. So this video is really basically the differences on the 2015 version and the 2016 version. So starting off, they're both satin finished clip point blades. Both, not the 16, but the 15 came in a sheep's foot, I think a spear blade. There's multiple configurations of it. Both of these are the spear points, or excuse me, clip points. And both have 1095 satin finished blades, long pulls, nickel silver bolsters and liners, I believe. Both of these are in saw cut bone, and they pretty much look exactly the same, but they're called different things. This is the autumn gold jig bone, and this is the copperhead or saw cut bone. This is the copperhead saw cut bone. The autumn gold's a little bit lighter, but it's pretty much the same thing. I don't know, each knife varies a little bit, so I don't know if it's just I got that one's a little darker, but really damn close to the same exact thing. So now the difference between the old and new, obviously, the clip point blades different. They did that to mirror kind of like the 15's clip point blade. You have the match strike long pull on the newer version and just a long pull on the older version. Obviously the profile's a little different, and the big change, between the two is the newer style is pinchable open. So that's pretty much the difference. I know a lot of people probably wanted it like that. I like it as aesthetically. I'd say, the new ones are winning on all levels. I still like this knife. Honestly, this one, I have no problems with it, but I would definitely say this one I like profile, shape a lot better. Some people have said that the fit and finish didn't seem up to par. I really think people nitpick the shit out of this. These aren't super expensive knives. There's a lot of handwork in these. I can feel the the transitions, but not like they're super grabby or like crazy amounts. Just a little bit. And there's no big gaps or anything like that. The back spring terminates pretty even on both these. Blade centering is pretty much spot on. Definitely on the 16. And on the 15, pretty much the same. Nice even straight across termination of the back spring. So, I don't know if I see it. People say that GEC's quality's gone down a little bit. My real opinion on that is, from what I've owned, and I think the oldest one I owned was an '08 or '09, to the newest ones, I don't see that much of a difference. I kind of think that GEC does certain models better than others for some reason, or just some runs end up better than others. I've had a Ben Hogan that came with the covers looked like they were shrunk. Honestly, probably the shittiest work I've seen from GEC, where the liners actually were extended out past the covers. It was a terrible job, but it was a fluke. GEC said they'd fix it. I just ended up sending it back to the dealer and getting something else I wanted. So, it's kind of, I don't want to say hit or miss, because GEC overall does a great job. They definitely make the best traditionals out there right now. Production traditionals in the market. I think so, at least. Other issues I have seen consistently with GEC is like blade wrap on certain models. You know, if you let the blade slam shut, it'll hit the back spring and, you know, nick your blade. And I've seen that on the Ben Hogan had it. I've had a Madison Barlow, the Northwoods that GEC makes, had it. I've had a 70, what was it, the last one's the 74s, the stainless one. I had blade wrap. Blade wrap, some of them, if it's not bad, you can sharpen it out after a sharpening or two. Some of it is just, you know, honestly, I just send it back. My Madison Barlow had a big old nick in it, and it would have took 4, 5, 6 sharpenings to get it, you know, totally out, and wasting a ton of blade, and that's not acceptable. So I just send it back, and it is what it is. They're just like any other company. They have some, you know, runs that are good, some that are not so good. But like I said, overwhelmingly, they do an excellent job. So that's my thoughts on that. And like this, I really don't see any real big changes in fit and finish. Honestly, the blade grind is real even and symmetrical, as is the swedge. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves, you know, when I'm sharpening. This one's been sharpened by me, and, you know, my zoom is a little jacked up right now, but it's pretty even on both sides. A little bit, you know, jacked up in the back. That might have just been me, but that's really like my more major complaints. I don't like the sharpen on uneven blade, and it ends up looking shitty and doing whatever. You know, the transitions, everything else I like to, you know, I like good fit and finish, don't get me wrong, and I'm not giving an excuse. When they do a bad job, send the shit back, you know. Honestly, though, I don't, people nitpick them to death, and, you know, for a $95 knife, for me, it's kind of hard to do. Especially after going to the GEC factory and seeing how much handwork is done on these knives. There's really a ton. So, and even compared to some custom knives nowadays, these have probably more handwork. So it is what it is. Besides that, you know, the changes in the blade shape, I definitely like. I think the long pull, match strike long pull in the blade looks awesome. I definitely think it's an improvement for me personally. This one I still really like. I don't have any real problems with this. I still think it's a great, you know, good looking knife. But definitely think this one's better. As far as the pinchability goes, that's my kind of thoughts on that is, do I like it? Yes, I do like a pinchable blade. Is it a necessity? Not really. And where I really came to terms with that is basically I carried traditionals for about a month and a half with nothing else. It's, well, I lied there. All my off time I carried traditionals. Whether I was doing something, work around the house, whatever, I carried traditionals. And basically I could do everything I do on a daily basis and work basis with a traditional knife. That being said, after that period of time, that's why moderns are what they are. I typically now, if I'm working around the house or, you know, doing yard work or whatever, I usually carry a modern folder. It's just easier, one-handed opening, closing, get to it, put it back in all with one hand, and you don't have to use two hands. So whenever you're doing whatever you're doing, you know, you still have the other hand to grab onto or keep hold of whatever you're doing. Especially when I was working on my house, if I'm holding something, I just need to cut something off real quick. It's, you know, you got to set it down, pull out your knife, use both hands, open it up. So that big long explanation, basically what I'm saying is, I carry traditional now. I still love traditional knives, but I basically carry them when I know I'm not doing work. If something comes up, I'll use them, it's still there. But modern folders are definitely more convenient. So, like I said, if I'm doing, you know, work on my house, yard work, or like on the range for work or something like that, I typically carry modern. Now, if I'm just going out and doing day-to-day stuff, you know, going out to dinner, going out to a friend's house or whatever, I'll carry a traditional knife because if I have to do something, I'll do it. It's totally capable of the work or anything I'm going to need to do. But like I said, it's not as convenient, but I still really like traditional knives. You know, the history to them, the look of them, and like I said, they're perfectly capable of doing 90% of the work that I do with knives, but they're just not as convenient. So the pinchability thing really for me leans down to this. Is it nice? Yes. Is it a necessity? No, because no matter what, you still have to open the thing with two hands regardless. So is doing this much harder than that? No. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I do like it, but like I said, not a necessity. And overall, both knives are excellent quality. This one is a little more smooth, but I did get this like right after my babies were born, or like a couple days before, I can't remember. And it has not been opened and closed as much as the older one, obviously. But it's still nice, smooth, walk and talk. You know, I hate saying the pull because I don't really, you know, it's hard for me, but decent pull. Not too strong, not too weak, maybe 6. Back spring on the new one sits a little bit proud, nothing crazy. On half stop, open, it's nice and flush. Close, nice and flush. The old one is flush on the open. Same thing, just a tiny bit proud in the half stop. Sorry, my lighting sucks, but it is what it is. And it's flush again on the close. So in that aspect, for GEC, that pretty much seems to be the, you know, standard for what I've seen with them, with their knives that have half stops. Most of them closed and open, they're flush. Then you'll get them, they'll be a little bit proud in the half stop. You know, I don't really care about that. That's perfectly fine to me. You know, if I'm getting into a custom knife and I'm paying a lot more money, I'd definitely like to see them, you know, flush in all 3 positions. But that's basically, you know, that's the difference between price range, though. So you're talking $300 and above for a custom, or, you know, under $100 for production. But anyway, that's that. Kind of whatever video off the cuff is something to get out there. But that's that, and I'm out, people.